All right, beautiful people. Welcome back to another amazing and impactful episode of the Truvel podcast, where we try to live our best life through the lens of holistic health. I'm your host, Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, and as usual, I have the beautiful, the elegant, the smiling, the fresh hair washed queen herself with the curls popping.
It's still wet and everything.
Everything. Please introduce yourself.
What's up, party people? My name is Sinclair, aka
The Health Nerd.
And yes, here on a relatively gloomy Saturday afternoon. I'm actually not a huge fan of like this gloomy weather. The only reason I like it, I don't know, I probably like it for the same reason you like it though. The only reason I do like it is because it's snuggle weather.
Exactly.
And it means like you want to stay inside and watch movies, which is probably what we're going to do later. And yeah, so that is the one reason why I like it. But other than that, I generally don't like gloom. I'm like, if it's going to be gloomy, then let it be raining.
Yes.
Because I love the sound of the rain. But if it's just gloomy, it's like, why? Bring the sun back.
Yeah. I agree. I do like this gloomy weather. I think shortly after this podcast, we'll probably have a very relaxed day. Maybe a Matrix marathon. I know we talked about watching Matrix the other day. Or we can find another just marathon so you can watch the same movie. I want to be stuck in the same universe for some time, for some hours. But before we dive in, that was a complete random thing. But let's talk about the week, Queen. How was your second to what is the date today? It's the 20-something? How has October been treating you so far?
October 24th.
There we go. Thank you.
I have no idea. The week was good. The week was... Next week I go back to going into the office full time, so it's my last week working from home part time.
Boo.
Yeah, it is what it is. Gotta go back to normal. It's far from normal, but yeah, I feel like it was a good kind of last week, to a little bit chill, productive. Like my energies were pretty good throughout the week.
Nice.
Made some good steps towards the real estate.
Yes, we did.
It was kind of in a lull, so that was reassuring to make those steps. Like we got our first list of properties that we were looking at. We narrowed it down, so it feels good to be one more step closer to our goal. So.
Right, and if you're wondering what we're talking about, go back and maybe check out the under construction, we did a whole episode on real estate investing, and I think we talked about our strategy. So definitely, rewind a little bit and learn a little about the steps that we're trying to make, and we definitely encourage other folks who have the resources and time to either plan to do that or actively do it right now.
And I just want to say, I don't want to harp on this too much. Go back to listen to the podcast, but it does not take as much money as you would think to start investing in real estate.
Right.
I've heard a lot of people talk about like cars and paying off their cars and things like that. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying you can take probably the same amount of money you would take to put down on a car or something and invest in a whole like multi-family real estate property in another state. Probably not California, but in another state.
Definitely not California.
So, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, so go back to the episode.
Yeah.
So my week has been, I don't know, I feel like it was a cool week. I think it could have been better. Looking at like my to-do list when I was out there, I feel like there were things on my to-do list that I haven't gotten to yet. But overall, it was a week, yes, and a step forward in real estate. But I feel like the queen, I really give all the real estate praise to her because she's been doing most of that work. I just hop on calls and make people smile.
So needed. It's so needed because I'm like this.
Oh, yes, she is. So I feel like as far as like my own goals and things that I'm trying to do personally, slight step forward. We did get an update on the self-love stuff, which was good. Shout out to Markel and Rare X team. Much love for the collaboration. So hopefully that's finally moving forward. COVID had some pauses on stuff, but we're finally able to make steps towards that. So that's exciting. Good. I hate making people wait. And I know there's a lot of people waiting on it, so that's been a stressor in my head. But yeah, it's been a cool week, but looking forward to next week. For sure. All right, today's podcast. All right, we're going to be talking. Actually, Queen, you did most of the research on this one, so I'm gonna shift it over to you to give the introduction. But do not start talking about it. You do this every time. You just dive right in. Yeah, no. But go ahead, Queen. Introduce what the episode
in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Biohacking. That's what we're talking about. So, if you're like me a couple months ago, probably don't know what the heck biohacking, probably never heard of it. But the thing is, we've all done biohacking in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know if you want me to dive into the definitions.
Oh gosh. All right. And now, let's get into the episode. Alright, we're back. Sinclair, go ahead and dive into...
It's hard to do an intro without talking about what it is.
Go ahead, Queen.
Okay, great.
Y'all see what I have to do with the professionalism. Gosh, come on now. There it is. Ooh, tie. Yes. Ooh, button up. Oh, break out the phone. Come on. Come on. Ain't that the face recognition?
Honestly,
never works?
I'm over facial recognition. I'm over it. Can
it's
we go backwards?
Your hair's wet. That's why.
Maybe that's what it is.
I did like the fingerprint.
I was fine. I was fine
works.
with the fingerprint. Can we please go back in time?
Just removed it altogether. Come on.
Like there wasn't a vote. Like I don't get. You can just make these decisions for us. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
if y'all work for Apple, Google, any other phone manufacturer, just please go ahead and slide that note in there. We did like the fingerprint.
Yeah. All right. So biohacking. I have 3 definitions. So I'm gonna read them. They're all slightly different, but I'll basically say the same thing.
And then I'll probably give my definition that I'll make up on the spot in my head.
There you go. So the first definition is the practice of changing our chemistry and physiology through science and self-experimentation to energize and enhance the body. Mm-hmm. So this is from Tony Robbins, motivational speaker.
Yeah, shout out to Tony Robbins. ET's better, but shout out to Tony Robbins.
So this is from his site. I don't know if he actually wrote that definition, but that was on his site. Another definition, which I liked, it's slightly more simplified. Small incremental diet or lifestyle changes to make small improvements in your health and well-being. And that's from Healthline.
So they're very harping on like the small, the micro.
Right.
Okay.
Which, I mean, some of them are small. Some of them are a little bit bigger changes. Mm-hmm. So that's why, another one. I wasn't quite satisfied. But this one, I think, really hits it on the head. Mm. So this is using what we know about our biology and human nature to create lifestyle habits that improve our mind, body, and spirit.
Who wrote that?
The health nerd. That was a definition from yours truly. After doing some research, I was like, I think I can come up with a better definition. Because to me, that's all it is that you were using the idea that is called biohacking, right? So you're using the biology. We're using how we already are. We're not necessarily trying to change anything about ourselves. We are using what we already know about the human nature, about how our bodies operate optimally, and we're using that to fit our lifestyle and be able to get the most out of our bodies, basically. So we're changing our lifestyle to work around our bodies, how they already operate in their optimal state.
Nice.
What you got?
I'll say I like yours, and I think now that I know for sure that you gave your definition, I'm not gonna try to overshadow anybody and give my definition. But I like yours because it's a little bit more simple. Yeah. And I feel like big words are cool. Big words, they sound good, but I feel like when you're trying to understand something, the big words aren't necessarily helpful and practical. Right. So I like how yours really lays it out. It was like nice and linear. Well done.
Thanks.
Anytime. So, biohacking. There it is. That's what we are talking about today, and I believe we are going through 6 different tips or categories. Hacks. There we go. That's what they're called. They're called hacks. Biohacking. 6 different hacks to go ahead and change your life and do good stuff. Right?
Yes. Right, I mean, think about like the word hack, right? The hack is to like crack a code, to do something, to help to help accomplish some goal, really quickly, or not quickly but efficiently. So that's what we're doing. We're just using what we know about the body to say, like, okay, so if our bodies operate in this way, that means we should be doing this at this time, to help feed into that. We'll get into that and what I'm talking about in a second.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, without further ado, let's dive on into biohacking. The first tip, category, or hack is...
I do want to say that these are like biohacking for beginners, I would say.
Biohacking intro.
Intro to biohacking. There are some more intense ones like cold therapy and reject therapy that have, their science around. For like cold therapy, it's improving your body's response to stress.
Mm-hmm.
Reject therapy, same type of thing. But anyways, we're going to get into some that you're probably already doing, or if you're not, they're easy to implement. There's some of them we've already talked about, but I'm going to start with some newer ones that we haven't really touched on before. So the first one is go outside.
Huh.
That's new.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, and that's centering around the idea that we are meant to be outside at some frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies literally get vitamins. I know we always forget that there's vitamin D. That is actually a vitamin that your body needs, and that only comes from the sun. So it's critical. I know a lot of, when you're talking about society, a lot of people are scared. We kind of demonize the sun a little bit because it...
Who's we? I love the sun. Me and the sun are like this.
Society,
Okay.
because of things like skin cancer, fear tactics. We fear the sun, sunburn. I sunburn.
Who's we?
Okay. I sunburn. I do. I understand that we're a little bit more melanated.
Look, I've sunburned one time during, I think this was high school, during 2-a-days. When it was hot, it was like 120 something, shirt off, and I was peeling. But yeah, that was because I was out there for hours.
Yeah, so that's not good, especially not 120 degree weather.
Yeah, Coach Williams, what were you doing?
But getting outside every day is very good for you. Vitamin D helps regulate calcium and phosphate within the body. It helps give you energy.
Doesn't it also help regulate your emotions?
Yep.
And that's why when, if you're live in a place where it's gloomy weather all the time, then we have higher rates of like depression and other stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely. So these are all reasons why. Another reason why, I don't want to dive too deep into it, but another reason why is this idea of called rewilding. So that's the idea that through society, right, we built all these big buildings that we're usually inside where there's air conditioning. We usually have windows closed out to the outside. We've been domesticated as a human species. We're very domesticated now, which means that we are very out of touch with nature, with the germs, the bacteria, and everything that our body was actually designed to be around. So again, the idea is that if you get out in nature, play out in the dirt a little bit, figuratively or literally,
really,
whatever suits you. But yeah, just getting out, in nature, where there are birds chirping, there are things flying, crawling in the ground. Trying to picture.
I feel like as you were discussing it, you were like, actually, I don't want to do that. Things crawling, what?
Look, in my hand, I was crawling. I don't want things crawling on me.
Funny.
Perfect example. I need to be rewilded.
Yes, you do. We're gonna go camping eventually.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the idea that we need to get back into nature. Again, the germs and the bacteria that are in nature, our body does need in some way, shape, or form to feed into the bacteria that we already have. So sometimes, we're too clean. Sometimes we're too clean, especially that's very relevant talking about the coronavirus. Is that, we're washing our hands excessively right now, which is good to keep the virus away. But we could also, especially with things like this hand sanitizer, we're also getting rid of the good germs. Like, we have good germs and bacteria everywhere. We are literally germs and bacteria. So by making things too clean, by eating things too clean, we're now messing with the bacteria in our gut, in our on our skin that help us protect us from bad germs.
Gotcha. So, biohack number 1, introduction, is to get outside, get you some sunlight, get you some nice melatonin processing and vitamin D activation and all that good stuff. But also, don't just walk around in your city because that you're missing out on a certain aspect. Maybe go on a hike, go to your local park, forest, get around some trees, some dirt, some grass, and hear some birds chirping, and not just pigeons.
Yes.
There are other birds than pigeons.
There are.
Okay, biohacking number 1.
Yep. All right, number 2 is to, along the similar lines, make yourself uncomfortable. And that one's not really too deep, just from the idea that we as humans and the way our brains work, we literally try to stay in our comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Your brain is wired to say, this is your comfort zone because this is safe, right? Yeah. You think about like back in cave people times, right? Safe meant you stay alive. Right now, safe means that your feelings aren't hurt, or you're not rejected or whatever. It means a little bit different now in 2020 than it did way back when. But when our brains are still the same brains, they've evolved a little bit, but they're still the same. They still have the same instincts. So your brain is trying to keep you safe because that's what's going to keep you alive. So that's to say, your body legitimately tries to stay in your comfort zone and dismisses anything that does otherwise. Dismisses anything that puts you outside of that comfort zone. So you have to be intentional about getting outside of your comfort zone. Otherwise, you will literally only stay there. And that's where growth happens, right? If you're only staying in your comfort zone, you will never experience anything new. You will never expand your mind, expand your palate, expand your friend circle. So that's where growth happens. So that's why it's good to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And this can mean physically. This can also mean like figuratively in your relationships. But you before the podcast, you asked like, what does this mean? What do you mean by get uncomfortable? What does that mean? Does that mean like with your emotions? Does that mean physically? And I was like, it means all of it. I was listening to Ultimate Health podcast, and they had someone on that was talking about how she has very minimal furniture in her entire house because we have big couches. We have like everywhere you look, there's some place for us to sit and relax. And that's why, they say like sitting is the new smoking, because we're not doing things that we used to do. We're not having to use our muscles. We're not having to, everybody should be able to get on the floor and get up off the floor without too much struggle. And so but because we have these big fancy couches, most people never actually go on the floor at any point in their right. Like there's no need to because you have a couch, you have a chair. So yeah, she was saying how like she recommends to people to have very minimal furniture. Have a bed to sleep on, have a chair too, but you don't need somewhere to sit in every room because it forces you to stand while you watch TV. Whoa, what? Sit in butterfly, or I don't know another
crisscross applesauce.
There we go.
Is what they used to call it.
There you go.
In school.
I only know the racist name for it.
Right.
That sounds sad. What are some? You find other ways to sit and to stand that can challenge your muscles in ways that they haven't been challenged.
Like it. I had a thought. What were we talking about?
Uncomfortable.
I have a thought. So, for me, entrepreneurship, I think, is an interesting way of getting uncomfortable because you're constantly having to put your dream out there, put your gift out there into the world for people to say no to.
Right.
Like, hey, look at me, I made a board game, or hey, look at me, I made a shirt, buy this. And then someone says no. Then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's real uncomfortable.
Right.
I'm a failure. I will never do this. So I feel like the more that you can put yourself in uncomfortable positions, whether again it's entrepreneurship, whether it's sitting on the floor, which I do randomly sometimes. Like when you're doing your hair in the bathroom, I'll sit on the floor, read a book, or just watch you. It's like, hey, it's actually comfortable for me, low key. I don't know why. Anyway.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not. I think maybe because I've practiced putting myself in uncomfortable positions for so much, now uncomfortable positions are almost comfortable in a weird way. Like I get some of the best sleep on the plane. Because I'm uncomfortable, but for some reason I knock out. I get some of the worst sleep every time. I get some of the worst sleep in like comfortable beds, which is very interesting. Like if this bed is just really comfortable, I'm just like, yeah, no, it's too comfy. Like we were sleeping in some bed. I don't know what this may have been at a hotel or it's TC's bed. I just don't get good sleep there. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I'm rambling. Long story short, I feel like the lens that I want to look for is through entrepreneurship and through being comfortable sharing what your dream is. I talk to a lot of students and they're like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, why? Like, oh, that's what my parents wanted me to be. So that's their box.
Right.
They're comfortable in this box. And
right.
then I'll start saying like, okay, well, what do you want to do?
Right.
What do you do? What is your dream? If you can get paid to do something that you want every single day, what would that be? And sometimes they still say, I'll be a firefighter. And if that's it, cool. If your dream is to do that, lovely. But then sometimes I unravel some things and it's like, oh, actually, I want to design fashion. Actually, I want to make music. Actually, I want to make movies. Actually, I want to travel the world. And it's like, beautiful. That's your dream. Own that dream and don't be afraid to go out and tell other people, hey, I want to make movies. Because there's plenty of people out there making movies and making an amazing living off of it. I'm done rambling.
Just to wrap up what you're saying, I feel like it's a like, but can I do that?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like people. I know people are doing. I know people are making great movies. We just watched one, but like, can I do that? Like, I feel like it's also a confidence thing of like, but you can because they were just like you someday. They just had the audacity to start and try.
Facts.
Yeah. And make themselves uncomfortable.
Make yourselves uncomfortable, y'all. Do something uncomfortable this week that doesn't impact your life or put you in danger, but do something that's a little bit uncomfortable, even if it's just sitting on the floor and watching one episode of your favorite Netflix or Hulu, Amazon Prime, whatever you watch one episode sitting on the floor.
Yep.
There you go.
And not in a comfortable position. Like, find something that's like, oh, a little bit like, oh, this is new, and do that position.